Hey folks, welcome back to Mobile Suit Highlights. This week we have the Infinite Justice Gundam, piloted by Zala from Gundam Seed Destiny. This suit is a 2500 cost suit, and it's considered one of the best in the game for lots of good reasons. It just has a whole mess of options in its weapon arsenal. First we'll look at its beam rifle, 3 shots to down an enemy, and its boost dash cancelable. Standard stuff for your average mobile suit. Its charge shot will automatically push the enemy down if all the shots connect. It can launch its Fatumo 1 lifter towards the enemy. Note that when it is out though, it'll decrease the mobility of the mobile suit as you see. We also have its boomerang, and you'll see in a reason why it's very awesome. The Infinite Justice also can grapple in the enemy with its grapple stinger in 2B. You can use this at the start of combos or in the middle of a combo. Very good anti-melee option. It can also transform as well. It can basically do any of its attacks on it except the boomerang. I'll tell you in a bit why it's not that useful to be honest, but it's just very nice to look at the very least. For now we'll take a look at its melee moveset. Its melee game is very strong compared to most of the other suits in the game because it has so many options with its weapons. You have the beam kicks, beam blade, it can also ram them with its Fatumo 1 lifter. When the lifter is out you can just kick them up close. One of the very useful things about it is its BC. Right here you see the BC in action. It does a lot of damage when you rainbow cancel into it. What I like to do is just do its neutral melee moveset and then rainbow cancel into it. For movement options with this suit, I recommend just sticking to boost dash jumping. The reason why you want to avoid its transferable mode is because of its animations going in and out of it leaves you vulnerable, as well as just not being very maneuverable during it as well. We'll start moving into our online matches now. I'm going to apologize in advance that you're going to be seeing a lot of the side 7 stage. Just the way it turned out, I apologize. I'll try to do more stage variation next time. So for this first online match, I'm not going to try to do anything too fancy with Infinite Justice. I'll be just showing you some basic pressure options with its arsenal. For general harassment of the enemy, you first start off with 7 beam rifle shots along with your charge shot. Make the most out of them, especially if they're standing still like this. You also have a beam boomerang that has a plethora of uses. One is changing the tracking of the beam towards you if it comes into contact with that beam. If you manage to hit your enemy in the air with a beam boomerang, it has a fair amount of hits done in the air, so feel free to follow that up with a shot or a melee. If your opponent is focusing on your partner and you want to help them out, don't hesitate to use your lifter and boomerang. It's just additional pressure options towards them. I hesitate to use the lifter sometimes against some opponents, sometimes I don't even use it at a match at all. It really just depends on the matchup, because that mobility decrease when the lifter is out can be really fatal against some other units that can easily punish you when you're in that state. You want to start off a match as Infinite Justice by throwing out your beam boomerang so your partner can get in front of you and block it. The reason why you want to do that is because it fills up their EX gauge just a bit, but every little bit counts when doing that. You want to try avoiding it when you have enemies that can like shoot a huge ass beam at you at the very start. That can definitely threaten your game plan at the very beginning. There are several easy mistakes to make with Infinite Justice. It's kind of universal for all suits, such as dead angle view, which leaves yourself open to the enemy's partner. There's also going in for the melee. The only time you really want to melee as Infinite Justice is to either punish their melee, or if you had them in hit stun. You really don't want to just go up in there and try to melee so you can do your fancy combo. Especially against Quanta, who can easily out melee you at will. Now the match is close. I'm totally fine with being the center of attention for the enemy partner because my other partner has very low HP now that the crossover really hit him hard. Don't be afraid to take a few hits for your partner, especially because if the next hits hit him, they're dead and you lose. So don't be afraid to just EX burst out of that and like be a tank for your partner. So recall what I said earlier about using your beam boomerang at the very beginning against opponents with big laser cannons. I ran the risk of doing that against Versago chest break. It kind of paid off because he didn't do it. And that time that you're using your beam boomerang, you can use your charge shot. You can start charging up for it for situations like this, in which your charge shot just goes through almost every projectile that the Versago chest break was throwing at me at the time. A good way to keep pressure on both your opponents at the same time is to quickly switch target and then throw like your boomerang or fulcrum at them. It'll just keep them aware that you are still a threat, so the more leeway you give your partner to freely act without having to worry about the attention of both of their opponents, the better for you. And here you can see that I'm staying at the F91's dead zone. Still a very good strategy to do against any mobile suit, in which you're easier to hit for them, but they're not so easy for them to hit you. Here's an interesting situation that happens just out of nowhere, but you can take advantage of Versago chest break as an enemy by having his assist grapple onto his ally, as you saw a few moments ago, and that's a free punish right there. Just something to keep in mind. So now we're confronted with an enemy that has an anti-beam cloak, which is present in all the crossbone Gundams. You have several options around this. Your beam boomerang does not count as a beam weapon against their cloaks, so you can freely use it against them. It'll count as a hit, even if they have their cloaks on. Your lifter as well counts as a physical attack, so don't hesitate to use that as well. One of the more important factors to consider is when to activate your EX gauge with the Infinite Justice. Usually I like to do it after a couple of the enemies activate theirs. The reason you want to do this is you don't want to lose the fight in pressuring each other with your weapons. If their weapon animations are faster than yours, obviously your pressuring options become much more limited compared to just being on equal footing with them because you already have so much. An easy mistake to do with Infinite Justice Gundam, because you're trying to keep pressure on both opponents at once, is actually interrupting your partner's melee combos or just combos in general with their shots. It's an easy mistake to make. Don't dwell on it too much, but try to limit it. Just be observant in what they're doing and don't bother them. An easy way to avoid nuke damage if you're ever caught up in them is if you're down like this, just get right back up after the nuke has passed you and it'll negate all damage. If you're in it, just try to get away from it as fast as possible once you get back up. Patience will take you a far way in this kind of situation when the match is this close and everyone's HP is this low. You just have to be patient and look for that one opening, such as that. It's just that golden moment in which you know you can connect those shots and it will kill them. So just be patient, watch for it, and I'll guarantee you that you'll win most of your matches this way. For this match, I really want to focus on more of the team synergy. I'll use EXVS for an example in this match. It's a more melee-centric suit, and while you have good melee options, you shine more on the mid-range to long-range options. For most of this match, EXVS and I stay in different parts of the map to separate the partners, because Double X and Zeta have a really good chemistry when they're working on one enemy. Yeah, both EXVS and I want to do is make sure they keep separate, we keep them occupied with just one person at one time. You don't want them ganging up on the same person at the same time. It's a very scary situation when that happens. Just as a side note, what you're going to see in a few moments, it's just something you have to learn when going against Double X. I don't go against it much, so I did not know it can just go fire off 3 big-ass lasers at will, and I got severely punished for it. Thankfully, it works out because I am able to avoid death immediately from that blast, but still, keep in mind that you can fire a lot of big-ass lasers at a very short amount of time. Of course, firing a lot of big-ass lasers at a very short amount of time does have its drawbacks, and you'll see in a bit why. So for you Double X players out there, watch out for your teammate. So for this final online match, I'm gonna demonstrate a really good, well-built team of Double X and Infinite Justice. It's just a 3,000-2,500 cost team, which is very effective. You're usually just acting as support, a really strong support for the 3,000 suit. You want to harass them, try to get their attention, so the Double X suit doesn't have that much pressure on them. You'll see in a few moments why the boomerang is really good. It's been shown in multiple matches already, but there's a good first-hand view of it. Right there, when the boomerang manages to place itself on the ground and you're on it, it'll hit you for multiple times and it'll keep you there because you're being hit again and again. So you're just free to follow it up with more beam shots for more damage, and it's just a great tool in general. So overall, the Infinite Justice Gundam is just an amazing suit for just being at a 2,500 cost. Has a great amount of weapons, great melee moveset and options with it, great pressuring for 1 and 2 opponents at the same time, great mobility. There's just nothing else that needs to be said about this suit. So thank you guys once again for watching this episode of Mobile Suit Highlights. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, on the forums, and our IRC channel. The next poll for the next episode is already up. Everything's in the description. I'll see you guys next time.